An exiled prisoner sits on the jagged, volcanic rock of Patmos. He is an old man now, his body wearing down. Legal architecture. You start to see something the courtroom reading completely misses. This is not a trial. It is a final audit. Every time a war claimed a generation, every time a plague swept through a city, every time a body was lowered into the cold dirt, Death and Hades collected the asset. They have been hoarding the souls of humanity like collateral in an inescapable vault. They are the final, undefeated creditors of a broken universe. Death is not a biological event. It is a hostile corporate takeover. But the moment the Great White Throne materializes, the cosmic hierarchy is instantly restructured. The blinding light of the Lukos throne hits the black water, and the abyss violently recoils. The holding companies are forced into total liquidation. The sea vomits up its prisoners. The heavy iron doors of Hades are blown completely off their hinges. Every single human asset they have hoarded since the beginning of time is extracted, pulled upward into the terrible, silent light of the void. Forced to stand before the papyrus scrolls, the ultimate creditors have just been bankrupted by the true owner of the ledger. Every human being is now standing in the light. The transaction records are open. The math is merciless. And the papyrus scrolls contain a debt that no human being has the capital to clear. But then, John sees something else. There is a second document in the void. The Great White Throne is not about deliberation. It is not about hearing testimony, weighing evidence, or arguing a case. John watches the second document open. The text reads, "And another book was opened, which is the Book of Life." The plural biblia are pushed aside. The endless scrolls of debt, the millions of papyrus transaction records, the exact accountings of human leverage, they are moved to the edge of the blinding light. A singular document is pulled forward into the center of the void. In the ancient Near East, when an empire conquered a territory, the invading king would immediately burn the local tax records. He would destroy the biblia of the previous regime, but he would fiercely protect the census. He needed to know who was his. This second book is not a papyrus receipt. It is a register. In the ancient Roman world, a biblion could be a ledger of debt. But there was another kind of scroll kept deep in the inner chambers of a city. The registry of citizens. The census of the living. Look at the contrast unfolding in the void. The first books are plural. The second book is singular. The first books contain actions. The second book contains names. The first books are a record of what was done. The second book is a record of who belongs. The ink on the plural scrolls is heavy with the crushing weight of human failure. But the ink on the singular scroll is different. In Revelation chapter 13, John gives this book its full title. By the time this throne appears at the end of the age, all the transactions have already cleared. The debts are permanently recorded. The accounts are closed. He calls it the Book of Life of the Lamb who was slain. This is not a list of good people. It is a list of purchased people. When the blinding Lukos light hits this document, it is not looking for a balanced sheet. It is looking for a signature. It is looking for the blood-stained seal of the one who already liquidated the debt on a Roman cross outside Jerusalem. Every name written in this book represents a completely different economy. A debt that was absorbed. A penalty that was swallowed. A casualty pulled from the crushing black water of the sea before the foundation of the world. The absolute silence of the void is broken by the sound of names being read. You can hear them echoing across the empty space where the earth and the sky used to be. The names are spoken out loud. Not the name of an emperor. Not the name of a perfect moral performer. The name of a thief who bled out in the dust. The name of a woman who washed feet with her tears. The name of a coward who denied his friend 3 times in the dark. Names covered in the blood of the Lamb. The second book is not an evaluation. It is an adoption certificate. But what does this cosmic accounting mean for the reality you wake up to tomorrow? What John is witnessing is the ultimate liquidation of reality itself. It is the moment where everything built on temporary leverage. The transition from this ancient vision to your actual life requires looking at the phantom debts you are carrying right now. We are a species obsessed with our own ledgers. In the modern world, We do not write our debts on papyrus, but we are still building the Biblia. We track our worth in credit scores, performance reviews, and bank balances glowing through the glass screens of our phones in the dark. We live under the cold fluorescent lights of a society that constantly evaluates us based on our leverage, our productivity, and our moral standing in the court of public opinion. Every single day, human beings walk around carrying the crushing physical weight of phantom debts. You know the feeling. It is the quiet, heavy pressure sitting in your chest when you realize you have failed someone you love. It is the exhausting, relentless cycle of trying to prove you are valuable enough to keep your job, keep your partner, or keep your reputation intact. We are constantly auditing ourselves. We maintain internal spreadsheets of our past mistakes, our missed opportunities, and the words we can never take back. The modern world tells you that your identity is tied to your balance sheet. It insists that if you just work harder, if you just accumulate more assets, if you just perform better, you can finally clear the red ink and prove your worth. But that relentless pursuit is a trap, shadow economies of power, and the fragile paper wealth of human empires is instantly zeroed out. The global systems of exchange. No amount of moral effort can zero out a debt in an economy built on brokenness. You cannot hustle your way out of bankruptcy when the currency itself is compromised. We build empires of medicine, technology, and wealth specifically to avoid the cold, inevitable grip of death and Hades. We pour our resources into extending our timeline, terrified of the moment our personal ledger is called in. But every hospital monitor that flatlines, every empire that crumbles into dust, proves that the old creditors are still collecting. The anxiety keeping you awake at 3 in the morning, the tight knot of dread pulling at your jaw. It is not a biological glitch. It is the echo of the abyss. It is the terrifying, subconscious realization that if your life is evaluated entirely by the plural books, by the exact, uncompromising record of what you have done, you will not survive the light. The Great White Throne terrifies the modern mind because it strips away the illusion that we are in control of our own accounting. But the revelation of John's vision is that the end of the world is not about auditing your performance. The final judgment is not a criminal trial. It is a property dispute. When the universe is dismantled and the true owner of reality arrives, the only thing that matters is which book contains your name. Are you standing on the infinite papyrus scroll of your own actions? The ones that traded in the souls of men and the blood of nations collapse in an instant. They collapse because the true owner of the ledger, trying to cover a debt you cannot pay? Or are you written into the singular register of the Lamb, purchased with a currency you did not earn? And to fully grasp what it means to be written in that second book, you have to look back at the entire architecture of the vision and what the blinding light actually destroys. The volcanic wind swept over Patmos, and a vision of the end tore open the sky. The earth and sky fled in terror, and the fragile assets of human power dissolved. A brilliant throne blazed in the void, and every hidden shadow was exposed. The plural books of papyrus unrolled in the silence, and the exact ledger of human debt was laid bare. The churning sea gave up its dead, and the chaotic hold of the deep was broken. The heavy doors of Hades were blown off their hinges, and the ultimate creditors were bankrupted at last. And a singular book of life was opened in the light to reveal the blood-bought names of those who belong. One ledger, one blood. But maybe the part that stays with me most is the books being moved aside. All those endless sheets of beaten papyrus, the ones tracking every failure, every broken promise, every quiet moment of betrayal simply set aside when the singular book of life is opened, has finally arrived to reconcile the accounts. There is no negotiation. There is only the sudden, terrifying transition from a world of illusions. It is the realization that, in the economy of God, your failures do not define your name. Your scattering does not cancel your gate. If you are in a season where you feel the crushing weight of your own internal ledger, where the anxiety of your performance is whispering that you will never be enough, look at the white throne again. The searchlight of that brilliant light is not looking for a flawless balance sheet. It is looking for a signature. It is looking for the blood-stained seal of the Lamb who already cleared your accounts on a Roman cross. If this opens something new for you, subscribe and leave a comment. Even one word helps. Share this with someone who is currently struggling under the heavy pressure of trying to prove their worth. Pray for us as we keep digging into these ancient texts. And may the God who liquidates every phantom debt guide you through the shadow of your failures and bring you out carrying a peace that can never be audited, to a world of absolute, tangible truth. And to feel the sheer weight of what is happening in this vision, you cannot start by looking at the figures sitting on the throne. The place to start is a detail hiding in plain sight in verse 11, a detail that defies the laws of physics. It is what happens to the earth and the sky the exact second this throne appears. The salt wind is biting and cold against his skin, and the Mediterranean Sea beats a heavy, rhythmic pulse against the stone in the dark. John records a physical impossibility in verse 11. He says that the moment the face of the one on the throne is revealed, the earth and the heaven flee away, and no place is found for them. Think about the architectural weight of that sentence. In the ancient mind, the earth is the immovable floor, and the sky is the iron dome holding back the cosmic waters. They are the fixed, permanent boundaries of human reality. You can measure the dirt in your hands. You can feel the heat of the sun against the back of your neck. You can track the slow, mechanical turning of the constellations in the black sky. They are the only stable currencies the human species has ever known. But in the presence of this throne, the physical universe does not just burn or break. It panics. The Greek verb is phogo, meaning to flee in terror, to run as a fugitive, escaping an overwhelming threat. The very fabric of space and time, every mountain range, every ocean trench, every skyscraper, and every planetary body recoils and disintegrates like ash blowing off a hot coal. The physical container of reality collapses, leaving a vast, silent vacuum. The kings of the earth and the merchants of the sea spent the previous chapters of Revelation trying to hoard these tangible resources. But John is no longer looking at the water. His eyes are wide open, staring into a fracture that has just torn the sky in half. They stockpiled gold, silver, fine linen, wine, oil, and human lives. They built sprawling global supply chains, assuming the physical world was the ultimate, enduring reality. They trusted the tangible. They banked on the dirt. But the moment the throne appears, the dirt itself proves bankrupt. This is not an act of destruction. It is a foreclosure. For millennia, the earth has been a compromised asset. It has been a system operating on a shadow economy of violence, death, and decay. Empires built their wealth on the bones of the poor. Kings measured their security in stockpiled weapons and hoarded grain. Humanity traded its allegiance for temporary leverage, treating the physical world as a permanent inheritance when it was only ever a leased property. But the lease has expired. When the true owner of the ledger arrives, the corrupted collateral must be liquidated. The old economy cannot exist in the presence of absolute truth. And so the universe evaporates, leaving no place for anyone to hide, no territory left to claim, and no currency left to trade. The only thing remaining in the total darkness of that void is a single seat of power. And to understand the nature of the entity sitting on it, you have to look at the specific word John uses to describe its color. He is watching the universe dismantle itself. The stars do not just fall, they flee. The ground beneath his feet, the atmosphere above his head. The universe is gone. The sky is empty. The silence is absolute. In the center of the total void, a single seat of power materializes. Revelation chapter 20, verse 11. John stares into the dark and writes, "Then I saw a great white throne and him who was seated on it." The word John uses for white is the Greek leukos. We hear the word white, and we picture a color. We picture a flat, matte surface, We picture polished marble pillars in a courthouse. We picture carved ivory. But leukos does not mean the absence of pigment. It means brilliant. It means radiant. It comes from the ancient root leuk, meaning light. It is the white of a magnesium fire. It is the blinding, split-second flash of a lightning strike. It is an incandescence so intense it burns the retinas. Every time this word shows up, it signals the raw, unfiltered glory of the divine, breaking through the physical world. Matthew uses it in chapter 17. Jesus stands on the Mount of Transfiguration, and his clothes suddenly become leukos as the light. John uses it in Revelation 1 to describe the hair of the risen Christ. He uses it in chapter 6 to describe the robes given to the martyrs. It is the color of reality without shadows. That root changes everything about this scene. The great white throne is not a piece of furniture. It is a searchlight. It is a concentrated beam of absolute truth that exposes every single thing hidden in the dark. The very fabric of physical reality, it all scrambles backward, violently retreating from a single point of emergence, a throne of blinding. Absolute white. There is no shadow left to conceal a lie. There is no corner left to hide a compromised asset. The light strips away all the camouflage of the old world. You cannot bribe a blinding light. You cannot hire a lawyer to argue with a fire. And what the light reveals standing in the void is not a jury. It is a library. John describes a specific, chilling sequence. The dead, great and small, stand before the throne, and books are opened. And then, another book is opened. Notice the grammatical distinction. Multiple books, and then a singular, entirely different document. The modern mind reads this and thinks of a library of biographies. We picture angels pulling dusty, leather-bound volumes off a celestial shelf, reading chapters about the good days and the bad days, weighing the moral balance of a human life as if God is reading a novel. If feeling the weight of these ancient contexts is shifting how you read the text, you're exactly who this channel is for. Drop a thought in the comments and hit subscribe. Because every week we go deeper into the original language than you knew was possible. So the first set of ledgers is pulled forward into the blinding light. In the ancient world, kings did not keep diaries of their subjects. You have probably seen the Renaissance paintings. You have probably heard the terrifying sermons. Most people assume Revelation 20 is a courtroom scene. They kept transaction records. Every empire, from Babylon to Rome, operated on meticulous, obsessive bookkeeping. They tracked taxes owed, grain harvested, and debts unpaid. The ink scratched into the rough parchment was never poetry. It was liability. You can almost feel the physical weight of those endless scrolls, the smell of ancient dust and dried ink piling up in the total silence of the void. We are a species that inherently understands the anxiety of a financial audit. We know the feeling of a discrepancy on a spreadsheet, the cold sweat of a debt we cannot cover. Every action, every word spoken in the dark, every hidden motive is a transaction logged in the economy of the universe. When the earth and the sky evaporate, all the physical assets of humanity vanish with them. The only thing that survives the transition is the record of what was done. The memory of the universe is absolute. Nothing is lost. Nothing is rounded down. And nothing is swept under the rug. The plural books contain the exact, unedited history of human leverage. Every time someone used power to crush the weak, every time a truth was bent to secure an advantage, every silent betrayal that nobody else saw. These texts are not a moral diary. They are an exact cosmic accounting. If a human being demands pure justice, they picture a cosmic tribunal, a grand, marble-pillared hall where a furious judge bangs a gavel. Scales of justice are weighed. If they want their life evaluated strictly on their own merit and their own balance sheet, the blinding searchlight of the throne will oblige them. It will evaluate every single entry. But the terrifying reality of these records is hidden inside the exact Greek noun John uses to name them. John watches the dead stand in the void. Revelation chapter 20, verse 12. Great and small. Emperors without their crowns. Slaves without their chains. Generals without their armies. They stand entirely exposed before the blinding white light of the throne. The silence holds. And then, the texts are opened. The word English translations use for books here is the plural Greek biblia. The singular is biblion. We hear the word book and we think of a bound hardcover. We think of a spine. We think of chapters and character development. But biblia comes from the root biblos. It refers to the inner bark of the papyrus reed, the pith, the raw material pulled directly from the mud of the Nile. It was sliced thin. It was dried in the baking sun. It was beaten flat with a mallet. It was glued edge to edge. It was rolled into a tight scroll. It was the paper of the ancient bureaucracy. Matthew uses this exact same word in chapter 19. The Pharisees ask Jesus about the law, and they mention a certificate of divorce. And terrified defendants wait for a verdict while angels read off a list of moral failures. It is framed as the ultimate criminal trial. The Greek phrase is biblion apostasiou, a scroll of separation, a legal decree severing a covenant. It was the format for commercial contracts. It was the format for debt collection. You can hear the sharp crack of the dry papyrus unrolling in the absolute silence. You can see the black ink pressed deep into the fibrous surface, line by line, transaction by transaction, debt by debt. The Biblia are not a biography. They are a bankruptcy filing. Every time a human traded another human for profit, every time a king sent the poor to die for a boarder, every hidden thought, every silent betrayal, the ledger is infinite, and the accounting is flawless. The blinding light of the Lukos throne hits the papyrus, and the ink cannot hide. The text says they are judged by what is written in the scrolls. According to what they have done, the scales do not tip. Grace is not applied here. The books demand pure accounting. You wanted absolute justice. You get absolute justice. You wanted to stand on your own merit. You get your own merit. You wanted autonomy from the Creator. You get the full receipt of that autonomy. The math is absolute. The balance is zero. But how did these millions of people arrive at this throne in the first place? The earth just evaporated. The sky just fled. Where did the bodies come from? The answer is hiding in verse 13. And it involves a monster much older than Rome. But if you look closer at the text, John actually wrote at the precise Greek words he chose. At the startling absence of any traditional, John writes in verse 13, "The sea gave up the dead that were in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them." To the modern mind, the sea is just a body of salt water. We think of maritime accidents and sunken ships. We assume John is just making sure the people who drowned are included in the final head count of the resurrection. But in the ancient Near Eastern imagination, the sea is something far more terrifying. The sea is chaos. It is the uncontainable, churning black water that constantly threatens to swallow the ordered world. It is the crushing pressure of the deep. And alongside the sea, John names two other entities, death and Hades. Notice that they are personified. They are not treated as passive geographic locations. They are active agents. They are the ultimate cosmic wardens. For thousands of years, these three forces have operated as the ultimate holding companies of the human race. In the biblical framework, human failure is consistently described using the language of financial liability. The Apostle Paul famously writes that the wages of sin is death. It is the final payout. It is the collection agency arriving at the door when the leverage finally runs out.